Welcome to the Astro Forecast for the week of March 22nd to March 28th. So we are fresh off the spring equinox where the sun has moved into Aries. Can you feel the difference? It is, oh, I'm so excited I'm shaking the camera. It is such a different energy, and I just feel like it's been such a time where we've been stewing in this Pisces energy for so long. And what an opportunity, right? The opportunity of anything that we've been healing and releasing, we're now planting the seeds for new things to come in for this time. So we are now at the second quarter moon. We are building to this lovely full moon in Libra on Sunday. And so as we do that, we're going to feel our momentum building. We're going to feel the seeds that we planted at the last new moon coming into some sort of fruition. And the last new moon was in Pisces, right? So anything that you were shedding, anything that you were healing, any patterns that have been holding you back that you now understand in a new way is coming into alignment with who you really want to be, with your soul, which is very Pisces. So Tuesday, March 23rd, we have Mercury square to Mars. Now, like I said in astrology before, if you've been following me, everything has the opportunity for its most positive and everything has its opportunity for the most negative. It really depends on what's been coming up for you, how you've been processing information, and how aware you are of your own processes and triggers, right? So Mercury is our mind. It's the way that we communicate. It's the way we process information. That's it. It's not emotion. And Mars is aggression, energy, motivation, desire, sex. And so having these two square each other, it's a tension. Think about a 90-degree angle. They're kind of both pulling and there's no right way to do it. Can you integrate the two? Not really. And integration would be an opposition in astrology. This is kind of like you're having to make do with this, but I like to call it friction that shines up a part of your soul. And so the more that we come into these triggers, the more we kind of go, oh, there's a piece of things in myself that I didn't know I had kind of a residual trigger there. And how can I use this information for my best and highest? So this can feel like verbal battles. This can feel like battle of the wills. I want this, you want this, and we're not going to see eye to eye. And so things in the news, what will happen, you'll start to notice, because this is collective consciousness now, that we will see that people will be battling each other. It can also be propaganda, right? Mercury is the mind. It's information coming in. Square Mars. Sometimes we can sort of see things in a new way or think that we see things when they're not actually there. So this is an active mind. So in its most positive form, this is an active mind, energetic mind, curious, intelligent, and you want to challenge the status quo. So if you feel like one of the, I think the prevailing views in my industry is you take a bunch of courses and you're all spiritual and everything is great in your life and you can bypass your ascension. I actually had that question in one of my classes. Can I take this course and bypass 20 years of my ascension? And I was like, hell no, you can't. You're in the human experience. Every time that you go out, anytime you interact with others, anytime you watch the news, there is always this piece of us trying to figure out who we are in this big world. And the fact of the matter is, our spirit knows that we are everything. We have everything we need within us. And our egoic mind thinks, no, we don't have everything. And we compare and we look outside ourselves for meaning and for purpose and for validation. And so we're always in this kind of pull and push with our soul and our ego. And instead, can we come into harmony going, ooh, I can feel that feeling of not being enough because as a kid I was bullied. And every time this comes up, I feel that trigger coming up. And how can I heal that so that it doesn't own me? Instead, that I can witness it, be aware of it, and let it go and find love in myself and realize these bullies had a lot of non-love for their own self, non-love. Maybe that's hate, maybe that's contempt, maybe that's self-loathing, and they were projecting that onto you. Bullies project a loss of control by trying to control you. So do narcissists. They don't feel they have control of themselves, and so they have to project that to try to control everything else around them, right? Do you try to control things when you're in flow and you know that everything's happening for you? No, right? So this is going to feel like this tug of war. This can be sharp-tongued, it can be combative, opinionated, fault-finding, and it can be exhausting. It's a lot of energy to be like, I'm right, you listen to me, you better hear me. So Tuesday, March 23rd, there's also a moon opposite Pluto. There's intense feelings. This is the shadow coming up for us to see it. And if you're not aware of it, it's a trigger. So Tuesday, March 23rd, do not have hard conversations is what I'll say on that one, and really take a step back if you're noticing being triggered as opposed to kind of doing the verbal diarrhea. You will regret it. So don't do it. Don't do it. Thursday, March 25th, emotionally intense day, deep breaths. The moon is going to be opposite Jupiter. So there's, sort of a generosity here. You want to overgive, but there could also be a lack of self-control, trying to navigate healing and integration. You may not yet know the right thing to do, but you keep trying. So this is kind of, it can be a really beautiful energy because your emotions and Jupiter is about expansion, kind of sit on the opposite sides of each other. So maybe you're feeling constricted in your emotions, or maybe you're feeling like something in your life isn't supporting you to your expansion and you're feeling sad about that. So again, this can be an emotional day. So just taking the deep breaths and seeing what in my life is trying to come to fruition here. Friday, March 26th, the sun is coming to sit next to Venus, and Venus is in this beautiful, it's Aries energy, right? So this is fiery, passionate, loving energy of, I want to get things done. We embody what we love and value, and we want to go after it. Aries energy, powerful, driving, passionate. This can be really kind of bringing your awareness to your finances, love, beauty, harmony, focus on social and relationships. That's very Venus as well. Venus is the way we relate to others. And that, what we want in our life, what do we value? It's also money. Now, there is another aspect here that makes me feel like this could be, again, glorious in that we're coming into feeling ourselves, feeling beautiful, but there's a moon square Mars on this day. Moon is our emotion and Mars is our motivation, our desire, our aggression. So this could feel like we're not enough, or you're bringing your awareness to all the things in your life that you might not have yet. And so I really want you to think about this day as a journey into wanting to do something, and knowing that every step is bringing you forward. Okay, every step is bringing you closer to what you love and value, and it's a journey, it's a process, right? You don't become a millionaire overnight. You see all these successes and you think, oh, they've got it all figured out. No, they don't. They had to go through the process. So don't project that feeling of not enoughness on somebody else who's been doing it for a long time. So this is the opportunity for Friday. Saturday, we have Mars. This is a very interesting aspect. This is Mars conjunct the North Node. And this doesn't happen, this happens every 2.5, 3 years. So when this happens, it could happen more often depending if it's retrograding. The North Node is our karmic destiny as a collective. And the karmic destiny right now is in Gemini. So Mars being moving through Gemini, this can feel really scattery energy. I'm just saying, if you feel scattered, if you feel distracted, that's that Mars in Gemini, it's okay, it'll pass. As soon as Mars moves into Cancer, we'll feel more emotional and kind of more focused towards things of the home and self. But until then, don't worry about it. That's going to be in April. But as we're here now, when the Mars aligns with the North Node, we are motivated and we desire to shift the collective forward. And because it's in Gemini, it's about information exchange, communication, being in relationship to others. And it's this introvert extrovert energy of like, I want to be this, but then I also am this. Right? It's a very dynamic energy. If you're a Gemini, you know, right? It's just this dynamic air energy. It's brilliant. They're so smart and they just love to collect information. So this Mars energy can feel like, how can we, it's powerful, it's physical strength, endurance, ability, make strides towards your life purpose. You can use this energy for its highest and best by making strides towards your life purpose. That's amazing. So take it, right? It only happens every 2.5 years-ish. So really, take this for its best. Now, kind of the other parts of this though, so the positive is that you're driven, ambitious, you pursue adventures. On the negative side, it can be intense, single-minded, self-sabotage, pursuing, careful not to pursue things because of past traumas. You want to be influenced by the passion and purpose in your soul, not the triggers of your past. So for example, if you've always been taking care of everybody else because as a child you were the caregiver for a parent, or your parent wasn't emotionally stable enough to be the caregiver for the family and you took on that role, then you would think that this is my role in my life. And without boundaries, that can be very, very triggering, that can be very draining, and that can actually feel like illness in the end because your body just can't sustain that anymore. So are you pursuing wanting to help people from a place of boundaries and understanding that you don't have to get in the hole with people and be in the pity party, that you can be above the hole, give them a rope to help them climb out of it when they're ready, right? So this is an example of your destiny being triggered, being built on the house of cards of your past traumas versus being built on the stable ground of your passion and purpose and building up those layers to be of service in some way in this lifetime. So there's an opportunity there. Now with the moon, there's some really other intense experiences going to be happening on this day too. So it can be emotions versus thoughts because the moon's sitting opposite Mercury. There's also confusion here. So this could be a day of propaganda as well, and swept up in the mob. And the last time this happened, one of the times that this happened, not to say that this is going to happen now, 9/11 occurred. And so there's, again, this kind of mob mentality that we can get swept up in the North Node collective consciousness moving forward of this is the way it has to be. If we kind of break down 9/11, it was a terrorist attack with a bunch of individuals that felt that they were going to take the boots to America because they felt America had disrespected their culture or disrespected them in some way. And they didn't represent their whole collective. They didn't. They just were an extremist group of these individuals that then enabled themselves and each other to carry out this horrible, horrible act of violence. And how do you not get swept up in that, right? If you have some of these extreme views, can you come into understanding why? There was a fear there. They were angry, and acting from a place of anger, never going to work, never going to have a good outcome. So not to say that's going to happen this time. I'm just saying to be aware of the mentality of the people and the company that you keep. And if you start to see this weird momentum where you see it on the news, no, Mars conjunct the North Node. Sunday is the full moon in Libra. Yay, this is a beautiful full moon. Now, full moons are always when the sun and the moon are opposite each other, exactly opposite each other in the zodiac. Happens every 28 days. It's a cycle. It's beautiful. And we usually have 12 full moons in the year. It could be a little more depending on like how it falls on the calendar, but really 12 in each sign, right? And so with Libra, the sun being in Aries, the opposite of Aries is Libra. So when the moon is in Libra, the sun is in Aries. And this is bringing up this dichotomy of me, Aries, versus we, Libra. So this is going to be about how are you in relationship to everyone else around you? How are you in relationship to the world? And then your actual close relationships are going to come up now for kind of a magnifying glass, light shining a light. The full moon shines a light on this area of your life where relationships play a very large role. And what's your role in relationships? So the plight of every Libra is to find balance and harmony in their life because they define themselves in their relationships with other people. Aries define themselves by who they feel they are, and they have a single-minded goal to go after what they want. And so they have to find balance being in harmony with others. And Libra has to find balance with being in relation to themselves. Who are they in this lifetime? So you see how this dichotomy in astrology works? I love it. Love it. So this full moon is going to help you, asking you to seek balance between who you think you are and who you are in relationships. Show up as your passionate, true self versus what everyone is expecting of you. And that's a really tough, thing to have sometimes because we have so many expectations because of the roles that we play in our lives. And can you just, realize that that role is part of your identity, possibly, but you get to choose that, right? So if someone's putting you in a role of, you're going to be my caregiver, you're going to take care of me, and you're like, I don't want to. It's okay to say no, because that no, number one, lets them know that that's your boundary and you're not interested in that. And number two, it frees up that role for somebody else who might really be needing to do that or wanting to do that for them. So don't feel obligated. I always think it's, it's interesting when we feel obligated to do something, we're negating what we are not allowing that person to have the experience of, right? So, even saying, I shouldn't charge more as a practitioner, but when I charge more, I'm calling in those people that actually would pay that for that service because they feel that's valuable. And then those people who would only pay 25, $50 for a service, that's great. That is their set point. I release them to the new practitioners that are coming up that need that experience and that confidence to build up with their clientele, right? So it's this beautiful cycle of releasing and allowing, releasing and allowing. And as you release somebody, you're now giving somebody else an opportunity to come into that person's life and fill that role for them, because that's an alignment for them and it's no longer in alignment for you. So you actually are blocking the flow of abundance and the natural cycles of the universe when you're holding on to something past its due date. So that is going to be, in a nutshell, really this full moon, what it's about. Now, the other really important thing to notice, there's other aspects in here as well. Mars will still be next to the North Node, and it's going to be squaring Mercury and Neptune. So this can be confusion, again, again, propaganda coming in saying, don't do this, everybody. But I just feel like you really need to think for yourself and have critical thinking and really check your sources during this time. But the other really amazing thing is it's a grand trine. So when 3 planets come together in exactly an equilateral triangle, 120 degrees from each other, this forms a grand trine. And it is considered one of the most auspicious aspects in astrology. Not very many people have that in their natal charts. And so at the time of this new moon or full moon series, there's going to be a grand trine in air. So the moon is in Libra, Saturn is in Aquarius, and Mars is in Gemini. Mars, of course, sitting with the North Node. So having these 3 planets kind of coming together in this way is going to really bring us a lot of insight, a lot of socializing, a lot of creativity. Air is about inspiration, ideas, and intellect. And so this is a time when you can get a real boost to some really great insights in your life. Because it's air, it needs space, it needs a space to grow and think and be, and it doesn't like to be tied down. So this is going to be, on this full moon, not only because it's in Libra, and air is about connection as well. We want to be in connection to each other, and we're wanting to kind of really discern our relationships at this time. Are they working for you or not? And which ones are really feeding your intellect? Which ones are feeding your excitement and passion about life? And which ones are depleting that energy? And really that will be the key to you, for you, of how you categorize your relationships. Which ones are you moving kind of into phasing out mode maybe? And which ones are you moving into closer and closer mode because it's exciting and you love being in their energy? So I hope that serves you in this week of dynamic energy. The energy is changing. I hope you feel it too. There's a moving ahead. And it can also feel, like I said, a little scattered because that energy doesn't have a lot of structure to it. It's air. It's a lot of air, fire, or just going, earth. We need sort of that earth energy to bring it in. And there's not a lot of that right now. And there's Uranus in Taurus that I can think of off the top of my head. But right now, we just kind of a lot of fire and a lot of air. Some planets are moving still through water, which is Pisces. So there's definitely this, shifting into more fire, which is going to be lovely for those of us who want to get going on things. And, remember to take a break, to slow down when you need to. And it's not all about go, go, go. All right. Wishing you a wonderful week. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Bye.